Hello students, I am Sadanand Prusty from Jaipuriya Institute of Management, Indirapuram, Ghaziabad. In today's lecture, we will discuss about various cost concepts and the cost output relationship in the short run. And for this, the contents whatever we will be discussing in today's lecture is importance of the knowledge of this cost for the business managers. What are the different types of the cost pertaining to the short run and cost output relationship in the short run. Now, for this if I will tell that these business managers they used to fix the price of their product. Okay. How these business managers they used to fix or they used to decide the price of this product? They used to follow they used to follow the cost plus pricing method. As per the cost plus pricing method, that price of any product is equal to average cost plus average cost times the markup. Markup is nothing but the profit margin. Now, if suppose let us take an example, if the average cost is 100 rupees and the business managers want a 10% of this profit margin, then average cost is 100 rupees times the 10% is the margin. So, ultimately we will be finding that the average cost is 100 rupees and on 100 rupees this business managers wants 10 rupees as the profit. If the 10% is the margin, then the price is 100 rupees, the price is 110 rupees. You will find 110 rupees because 100 rupees plus 10 rupees is nothing but that is your price. They used to fix the product price. This is called as cost plus pricing. So, as per the cost plus pricing, that whatever is the markup, that is your profit margin, if the 10% is the margin, then in this case the 10 rupees is the profit and 100 rupees is the average cost. So, a business manager used to decide the price of this product is 110 rupees. Now, if suppose this 100 rupees is now, if the average cost will be now 90 rupees, let us say that if the average cost will be reduced, then what is happening is that profit margin remains same. So, now the price of this product will be 90 rupees plus 10% on 90 rupees is nothing but 9 rupees, and which comes to 99 rupees is the price of this product. That means, which is lesser than the previous price whatever they used to charge, that is 110 rupees and now the price is 90 rupees. This is happening because this average cost is less. Now, if the cost of the production is less and the price is less, we know that there is an inverse relationship between the price of the product and the quantity demand, and quantity demand is nothing but the sales figure for this business managers. Now, when the price will be less, when the cost will be less, so obviously the price will be less. When price will be less, then the sales figure will increase and obviously there will be total revenue which will also increase, and in that way they can make this profit. Now, question is how these business managers they will reduce this cost, and for that business managers need to know that what are the different types of the cost. Now, coming back to the different types of the cost, first one is what is the explicit cost and the implicit cost. In the explicit cost is the actual cost. If suppose the raw material cost, the labor cost, the electricity bill cost, Okay, all are the actual cost that has to be paid by the business managers, and that is the explicit cost. And what is the implicit cost? Implicit cost is nothing but the opportunity cost. Now, in case of this opportunity cost, if suppose this business manager's wife and son, they are not the employee of this organization, but they have helped these business managers in their company work. So, in that case the business managers never used to give any money to this to his wife or to his son. In that case what will happen, because they have worked for the company, but you have not paid anything, this is called as the opportunity cost for them. Or the business manager might be having some amount of this saving amount, and that saving amount is invested in his business or in her business, then the rate of interest which he or she has sacrificed, that is also known as the opportunity cost. Now, coming there is another two types of the cost, that is private cost and the social cost. Private cost are whatever is the explicit cost, which already I have mentioned that it is the raw material cost, it is the labor cost, these are all the private cost. But what is social cost? Now, social cost is nothing but the negative externality which has been created by the company. There is noise pollution, there is water pollution. So, all these things are pertaining to the social cost. And there are another two important cost concept, one is the fixed cost and the other one is the variable cost. Now, in the fixed cost itself, how we will define the fixed cost? Now, fixed cost is one where it is with the changes in the output, the cost never changes. That means, cost remains same in spite of there is a change in the output. So, in that case that is known as the fixed cost. But in case of this variable cost, that for the variable cost, if the number of output produced is more, then the variable cost will also increase, and if the number of output will be less, so obviously the variable cost will be less, and in that case the variable costs are the labor cost, the raw material cost, they are the variable cost. And in the fixed cost category, you will be finding that the building cost, then this land cost, okay, they are the machine cost, they are the fixed cost, which never changes immediately or unless and until there is a long period of time and there is a requirement. So, fixed cost never changes in the short run. Now, coming back to, there are two concepts also for the business managers one should know, that is accounting profit and the economic profit. While calculating the accounting profit, that the managers they used to take into consideration, there are two concepts, one is the total revenue and total explicit cost. That means, profit is accounting profit is equal to if the total revenue minus the total explicit cost, but for the economic profit, that total revenue minus both these costs one should take into consideration. And which are the both the cost? Now, total explicit cost plus total implicit cost, and implicit cost is nothing but the opportunity cost. And there are various like cost concept pertaining to the short run, which are mentioned here, like your total cost, total fixed cost, total variable cost, average fixed cost, average variable cost and the marginal cost. Now, let us discuss each one of it. Now, in the short run, if here itself, like just you see here, total cost is equal to total fixed cost plus total variable cost. Now, how to find out? Suppose let us give a numerical example, so that it will be more clear to all of you. Here is the number of workers employed, okay, either you can take that number of workers or number of labor hours, that is starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Similarly, total output of all these baby dolls, if suppose they are producing the baby dolls. So, in that case the total output is continuously increasing up to certain level, then after that also you are finding at the fifth unit of the labor, now the total output declines. But fixed cost, with irrespective of the change in the output, we are finding that fixed cost remains same, that is 300 rupees, 300 rupees, 300 rupees. But in the variable cost, what we are observing is that, because if the per hour, if the labor is working for 1 hour, then he or she is getting 200 rupees, then every additional hours or in every additional labor unit. So, you are finding that it is adding 200 rupees, 200, then 200 plus 200 is 400, then 400 plus 200 is 600, like that variable cost is increasing with the increase in the output. And the total cost is nothing but the total fixed cost plus total variable cost. Now, if you will add that 300 plus 0 300, 300 plus 200 is 500, 300 plus 400 is 700 rupees. So, like that it is varying. And in the total cost, from the total cost and the total fixed cost and the total variable cost, we can calculate that how much is the average cost or average total cost, how much is the average fixed cost and how much is the average variable cost. Because if we will divide the total cost divided by the quantity produced, then that will give us the average total cost or average cost simply, which again if it is a total fixed cost divided by the quantity produced, then that will give us the average fixed cost. And similarly, total variable cost divided by the quantity produced, that will give us the average variable cost. So, and marginal cost is nothing but the change in the total cost divided by the change in the output produced. Okay. So, in that case you will be finding that there are these are the cost, total cost concept, that means total cost, then total fixed cost, then total variable cost, then your average fixed cost, average variable cost and the marginal cost. Now, let us plot this one in a graph. Okay. You can see from this graph itself that total fixed cost, what is happening, whatever may be the change in the output, whatever may be the change in the output, when the output is increases, but the cost remains same, the cost remains same, that is the fixed cost. That means, irrespective of the change in the output, the cost remains same, that is known as the fixed cost. So, that is why your fixed cost will be horizontal to the x axis, where the x axis represents the output. But total cost, is this portion is the TFC, that means, if this is the total fixed cost, then total, we know that total cost is nothing but total fixed cost plus total variable cost. So, in that case, if this is the total like or total fixed cost, then the total variable cost will start from the origin. Okay. Why the total variable cost will start from the origin? Because when the 0 output is produced, then there is no variable cost, obviously you are incurring, and when the output changes, then the variable cost also changes. And what is the sign here? This represents that your cost is increasing, but at a decreasing rate, and afterwards it will increase at an increasing rate, and the total cost will start from here, because total cost is nothing but total fixed cost plus total variable cost. Now, coming back to this average cost concept, you know that average cost is this, average cost is U shaped, okay. And why it is U shaped? First it will start declining the average cost, it is because of this average product of labor is, or labor efficiency initially is higher. Efficiency means with 1 hour, 1 extra hour of this work, if a labor is working, then whatever it has contributed to the total output, that is more for the initial number of labor hours. So, that is why as the output will increase, the productivity of this labor also increases. Now, when the productivity of the labor will increase or more output will be produced, but you are not paying anything extra to the labor. So, what is happening? Now, average cost is decreasing, reach the minimum, then afterwards it will increase as the labor productivity gradually declines. And exactly the same thing which is happening, because in the short run already we have mentioned that in the short run that output is a function of labor and capital, where capital is fixed in the short run whenever we are discussing. So, whatever is the changes is occurring, that is due to the labor only. So, hence in the average total cost we are only considering the average variable cost, okay, because with all the changes you will be finding that why it is downward sloping, then afterwards it will increase. Exactly the same reason for the average variable cost as well. And the marginal cost is sharply declined because of this marginal product of the labor that is increasing, and afterwards marginal cost will increase because this marginal product of the labor is decreasing, and marginal cost curve always intersects the average variable cost and the average cost at its minimum point. This is the minimum point of AVC and this is the minimum point of ATC. Okay, AVC is average variable cost and ATC is average total cost or simply average cost, and average fixed cost is downward sloping, that means average fixed cost is convex to the origin, okay. And continuously as the output increases, you will be finding that average fixed cost gradually will be less and less, because the total fixed cost is constant. Now, from here itself the total short run total cost, STC stands for short run total cost, which is equal to total variable cost plus total fixed cost, and total variable cost is nothing but the price of the labor multiplied by the labor units, that means number of workers or the number of labor hours. And price of labor also one can write price of labor is equal to W. So, WL, and similarly the price of the capital, that is nothing but the cost of the capital, and price of the capital is also known as R, and K stands for how many hours the machine is working. So, this is the total variable cost and this is the total fixed cost, because we have assumed that the machine is fixed, that means the machine cost is fixed in the short run and only labor is the variable component. And from here itself you will be finding that at the minimum point, just you see here your average variable cost is minimum at this point, and marginal cost, that is your SMC, is intersecting the average variable cost at its minimum point, and that is happening here, and at that point you are finding that it is happening at Q2, that means your output produced is Q2. And similarly this marginal cost is also intersecting the total like your short run average cost curve is at this point, and that is also the minimum point, and this short run marginal cost curve is intersecting the average variable cost and the average cost curve at their minimum points. So, at these minimum points what is happening, that short run marginal cost is equal to at this point short run marginal cost is equal to average variable cost, and at this point short run marginal cost is equal to the short run average cost. And at this point also you can just find out that at this point your average fixed cost is equal to average variable cost, and that is happening at this point also. Average fixed cost and average variable cost both are same, that means the total variable cost and the total fixed cost are same, that is why you are finding that average variable cost and the average fixed cost they are same at this point. So, these are some of these relationships that between the total fixed cost, total variable cost, short run marginal cost, then short run average cost, then short run average variable cost and the average fixed cost. This is the relationship we are showing. And another thing you will be finding that this average this is the average variable cost. This is the average variable cost and this is average product of labor. So, average variable cost is a mirror image of this average product of labor. So, why it is called as a mirror image? Already I have mentioned that when this average variable cost initially will be decreasing, that means your average product of labor, the productivity of the labor initially will increase. Okay. And initially whenever a worker is coming and working for initial hours, then you are finding that they are working for very productive way, or initial years of this labor, whenever they are joining in any company, their productivity is higher because they used to work for this company and they want to show that they are more productive as compared to the other employees, but the salary also they are getting is same and their contribution to the output is higher. So, in that case what is happening, when their productivity increases, labor productivity is higher, then obviously when labor productivity is higher, then the average variable cost is less. Then when average productivity of labor is declining, then this average variable cost will increase. That can be shown also in a like our equation, because average variable cost we are defined as that is your TPL, that is your total product of labor divided by Q is your like your average variable cost. That means sorry, this is not correct. So, average variable cost is equal to that is your total variable cost divided by Q. Now, total variable cost, what we are just how we are calculating total variable cost? Now, PL, that is your price of labor multiplied by the labor unit divided by the Q. So, that is why you are finding this, which is equal to, you are finding what? Now, L divided by Q into the PL. So, here itself now PL taken on the numerator and divided by Q by L, this will be changing their position. So, you will be finding that will be Q by L, and Q by L is nothing but average product of labor. So, that is why average product of labor and average variable cost, they are inversely related. And similarly, you will be finding that exactly the marginal product of labor and the marginal cost, they are also the mirror image. That means, the short run marginal cost whenever it is decreasing very sharply, and that means the productivity, marginal productivity of this labor is increasing. That means, it is increasing very fast, and initially whenever there is an increase in the output, that means the factor inputs, whenever the number of labor hours will increase. So, what will happen, that marginal product of labor will increase. When marginal product of labor will increase, so obviously you will be finding what, the marginal cost is decreasing, and similarly when marginal product of labor will decrease, then you will be finding that marginal cost will increase. Okay. So, that is the relationship, and that can also be stated in an equation form. So, SMC is equal to PL divided by MPL. Now, MPL and SMC, they are also inversely related. So, that again is an inverse relationship which is happening. So, if we will summarize what we have discussed, that there are various types. So, first of all, these business managers, they used to fix the price on the basis of the cost plus pricing, and hence the knowing different types of the cost is very important for the business managers. Now, whenever these business managers, they used to work in the company, so they should know different types of the cost, either for this accounting purpose or for the how to minimize which cost. If they are not knowing, then it is very difficult for them to go ahead with which cost actually they will be minimizing, and how they will be minimizing the things. And in that context, we have to know about the different types of these cost, and different types of the cost. We have mentioned that it is the private cost, it is social cost, and fixed cost, variable cost, then the average cost, then the total fixed cost, then total variable cost and total cost, then average fixed cost, average variable cost, marginal cost. Okay. So, all these cost concepts we have to, or as a business manager you should know that. Then afterwards we have discussed about the cost and the output relationship, because how this marginal, due to the marginal product of labor initially will increase, how the cost initially will decrease, that is your average cost will decline and the marginal cost will also decline, but afterwards what is happening is the productivity of the labor will gradually decrease. So, that is why the short run average cost is increasing and the marginal cost is also simultaneously increasing. So, that is the relationship between different types of, or among different types of this cost, and as a business manager you should know all these cost concepts. And for calculating the accounting profit, you have to take into consideration, that is total revenue minus total explicit cost, and for calculating the economic profit you have to take into account the total revenue minus within bracket total fixed explicit cost plus total implicit cost. Implicit cost is nothing but the opportunity cost. Thank you so much.